So I'm just gonna have to state the obvious here and say that this rocket launcher shouldn't be in Red Room in this position. If the plasma gun was in this position, that would be ideal, and I could be wrong, but it seems like this area would be suitable for the rocket launcher. I'm not, you know, completely sure about this one, really. I'd say that would be subject to change as well. And probably might wind up, like, possibly where the screen is, where the shotgun is, or where this 50 is, this kind of thing. Probably more like where the screen is. I think in a very early iteration the IC was in this position, which is exactly where it should be, probably. It makes a lot more sense, really, I think. But honestly, like, a lot of these spawns seem to play out quite well, pretty well. As far as the major items are concerned, it really appears to be the weapons that are causing the most concern. One of the things that... Oh. Is this the more... is this... Oh, and this one? Okay. Oh. Interesting. Shit. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, okay? I personally still feel that this TP should take you to this exit. And this TP should take you to this exit. Like, that just makes a lot more sense to me. The mega room being, more stacked, for lack of a better word. The mega being a much more valuable item, generally in possession of the in-control player. So to have the connection from the yellow be the more difficult TP jump to the bolt is questionable in my mind. That's always something I felt should be reversed. Not really a fan of the shotgun spawn being on the high ground. Just saying. I mean, pretty sure there was an iteration at some point where it was in this side area kind of thing, which is... I mean, it's a pretty good location for it. I think it's probably a little bit more suitable than it being on the high ground. But who knows? There could be better locations still. I'm not 100% certain on that. So yeah, I mean, without the rocket launcher and with the plasma gun in the place of this rocket launcher, this room's actually pretty good. This is a little bit concerning. Shit. Okay, let's just speculate exactly what the appropriate play to make is. If you spawn in this position, this mega spawn, and your opponent spawns at the upper green armor, I think I foresee issues in that scenario, but let's see. So obviously my opponent receives and correctly interprets the audio cue of my spawn location, and they know that they are in a position from which they can take green and drop to yellow before I can reach yellow from Mega. Now, this concerns me quite a lot. I think that what you're incentivized to do, essentially, in that scenario from this spawn is take the grenade launcher, take the Mega, and return to the red armor, like so. And now, most unfortunately, we see that the stack advantage is given to the this player, the mega spawning player. Their opponent has probably 150 yellow and an IC at the very least for the first exchange. They'd probably be able to get themselves a rocket launcher, maybe even a bolt, but that's a stretch. Whereas this guy gets a grenade launcher, 150 red, and the Mega, uncontested, and then he has free reign to fall back onto a rocket launcher, onto a plasma rifle. This is the most concerning spawn that we've seen so far. This is the set that really does not work as far as the major items go. Like, every other configuration I've really seen so far, maybe it has some issues with the weapon distribution, like both rocket launchers going to one player or something like that, that isn't quite laid out as effectively as it could be. But this actual spawn configuration, tragically so, imbalances the game off of the initial spawns through nothing but RNG, so that is essentially the kind of thing you want to avoid doing. So that's a bit of a shame, really. Let's keep looking. I mean, this spawn, sure. Yeah, I mean, there is, I can see a power play that your opponent could potentially make, but it's not bad. It's not bad. This spawn is fairly functional, despite the fact that your opponent could delay the yellow take to get a green after, say they got the mega spawn, instead of going straight to yellow, they could use the TP to reach, say, the upper green, because they're both upper greens. What is wrong with me? The green over here by the rocket launcher would still be up, obviously, because from this position, in this scenario, your opponent gets the mega spawn, you're incentivized to go for this green to my left and then onto the red. So your opponent can delay that yellow, taking a small risk, very small, to build themselves a stack advantage in this scenario. And this kind of thing, that kind of thing, could be avoided by doing the more common thing and really emphasizing item distribution such that one player has 150 red and one player has 150 yellow, and then they meet both with a rocket launcher in hand, ideally, for an exchange at the mega health, and then the mega health is won by one player, and they are then the controlling player, dominant player. And it's nice, you know, when you really cultivate that flow to the game, when that's really what you're pushing with your spawns, it plays well. It's obviously it plays as well as it could because that's how it's designed to play. So essentially, the in-control player has that mega, and they are forced to act because they are in control, yes, but only for a short amount of time as their stack is deteriorating. Whereas if you have these maps like PRDM, wait, what's it called? PRDM3, I think. This one, many of the Reflex maps, they don't function in the same way as the CPM maps. I lost my train of thought a bit here. What do we... Of course, they distribute the items such that one player has 100 yellow and the mega health, and the other guy has 200 red. So, whilst initially that stack is even, actually, the guy with the 200 red is cushy. Like, what's he need to do, you know? I'm fine, like, I can just plus back, basically. What reason do I have to really contest for anything at this stage? Like, my opponent has a mega health that's deteriorating actively, and once that's gone, he'll have only 100 yellow versus my 200 red. Like, so, as you can see, that's that's the secondary option, generally, like, a fallback, so that if a certain spawn set can't facilitate 150 versus 150 and then an exchange, at least we have a balanced scenario still because of that split, though it's suboptimal, let's say. So yeah, it would be nice to see the Reflex mappers really catching on to that facet of level design for Reflex. I'm sure we'll see improvement over time, of course. Like, I'm pretty sure it's the mega spawn which is causing most of the issues with this spawn system. Oh, yeah, this one's nasty. This one is nasty. If I get this spawn, oh my god, and my opponent gets the mega spawn. Sorry for my voice. My opponent is fucked. Like, I mean, it's not even funny. Seriously, like, okay, so I spawn in this position. I move to this yellow. I take this yellow. By this time, I see that my opponent has taken red. Mega. God damn it. Mega. And probably has a grenade launcher in hand. I've got the IC to work with, yeah. So, but anyway, at this point, I know that the thing I want to do is back off to the TP. I mean, going for the jump pad's an option, but it's probably less effective. So back off to the TP. Transition. I don't deny that green. Can't take it unless I stop and do self-damage. And then I'm onto the red with a rocket launcher if I want to take it, which you probably would. My opponent Here we go. So from this position, as we know, he takes the Mega. He's here. He's like, oh, my opponent's taking yellow. That's, you know, that's not a good time to contest, particularly with my grenade launcher in a down position against an IC, with a jump pad as my only option for moving forward, spam being difficult from this position, etc, etc. So best option is to try and work my way to the greens. This TP being definitely my best choice. I get a rocket launcher and then I position for this green. At least you can kind of get both of the greens as well as the Mega fairly safely. I'd say you can get to this position probably just after your opponent's taken the red armor. So you can probably get Mega and 2 greens, but Mega and 2 greens is not balanced. If it was as opposed to 100 green, as we know, if it was 100 yellow and Mega, sure, not ideal, but at least it's as balanced as it could be for that scenario. But unfortunately, this particular set of spawns, and again it comes back to this Mega spawn, that's the problem spawn, you just have a very punishing stack disadvantage for no reason at all. It wasn't because you lacked map knowledge and made an incorrect decision, it wasn't because you made a movement error, nothing to do with anything that you did, purely RNG. The spawn system just dictated and decided that you have a stack disadvantage this game. Sorry about that. And that's what makes these maps imbalanced. I like this world spawn, and I really believe that it could work. It definitely, surely it could work, right? I mean, the chances are through the roof. It's very probable that it could work, but it just doesn't in its current format, unfortunately. But that was pretty interesting, actually, just to take a look, you know, at the spawn system here, as that kind of eluded me. You know, I knew the majors, I knew the health distribution, weapon distribution, but to actually break down the spawn system and realize where the major imbalances occur, it's fascinating. It's always interesting to know. Very cool.